So Stevie, we're here, it's pretty much the end of the season now. I imagine it's been a busy one for you as head of football development. If we start with the academy side of things, it's the first season of under-21s football and we've won the league. You must be delighted with that.
Of course, winning the league, getting the league trophy it's a really nice end of season. It's a nice to have. The big point about bringing in the 21s wasn't to go win leagues. That's always the extra. It's to give the boys the next step in their development, try and close the gap between what is under 18s category 3 football and men's senior football this season at championship level, next season at League One level. We just need to make sure that, from a physical standpoint, a tactical understanding, a technique, that the players are getting challenged as much as they possibly can. And adding the under-21s programme this year is massively added to our pathway.
And how has that transition to under-21s football been, and what benefits have we seen from making that change?
When we look at the bigger picture, you look at your boys that are in their second year of the scholarship, so still under 18s football, but maybe not getting challenged as much at that level. Instead of the next step for them being, 17, turning 18 years old and having to go out on a loan and maybe having to go down the pyramid quite far to get that loan for the game time, what it's done is it's allowed those boys in the second year and third year to get game time against adults, against senior teams, have a bigger training group within the academy. So instead of having just 18 under 18s, we've now got our 18 under 18s and another 12 under 21s. So the group's bigger, which makes it more challenging, makes it more physical. It makes the numbers, if you've got a couple of injuries down, the numbers are still high. It means when the boys go over and train with the first team, it keeps our numbers higher. So, and it also gives the development programme an extra 2 years. So instead of making a decision, which we've done in the past, that boys are now playing at a decent level because we've had to let them go at 18 because we've not quite got the next step, we can keep people in the building for a 4-year development. So there's been lots of really good things that we've managed to bring together.
And if we mention the under-18s too, this season, of course, they've also won their league. They got quite far in the FA Youth Cup, obviously a really big night against Manchester United back in February, I believe. Can supporters be really excited about the talent that is clearly coming through the academy at the moment? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, look, it's young players, it's young people, and our job is to make sure that these young people have the best opportunity to get as far up the football food chain as possible, if you'd like to say, and doing that here at this football club and trying to really progress them and push them. Now, what we've got is, even from going down into the younger age groups, we've got a really nice sort of pathway coming through that the staff work really hard and day in, day out. There's a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff going on away from here at Oxford City where we train most nights, and but yes, there's a lot of excitement, that there's a lot of talent coming through, and our job's just to make sure that at the right times these boys are getting the right pathway. And we've now went into our under-18s football and they've went and won their regional league, which means they go into semi-finals next week and then potentially the national finals. So yeah, from a success point of view, on the pitch has been brilliant, but the development side is very exciting.
You mentioned that success on the pitch, but off the pitch, what goals do you still have now for the academy going forwards? I know you have that idea of getting to Category 2 status. Where are we in that sort of progression?
Yeah, look, it's been an ambition of mine and the football clubs, and it's a very difficult step to take, not internally, because internally the steps to get better staffing, to have better processes, administration side of things, or all the bits that people don't see through education and player care and sports science, and all of that has to be a really high level, our medical care and all these things. Now, all of that, and the club has backed it brilliantly to get us into a very, very good and successful place. Even the spacing we've got now with the buildings and what we can produce here is fantastic. Ultimately, what we'll look at a Category 2 audit in the 26-27 season, and that will give us exactly where we're at. Now, the two big things that need for Cat 2 is an indoor dome and a 3G pitch, both on site here at the training ground, and that's not cheap. and it's something that we need to keep doing plans and keep working towards that, and ultimately that is the end goal. But when that end goal comes, nobody knows that's about. Like we know with the stadium, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of things that have to go behind the scenes still. But the goal is still moving towards Category 2 status, and all the stuff behind the scenes, we're right there. When we've done the last Cat 2 audit with different processes and things behind the scenes weren't quite exactly where we needed it to get. We've now got everything, I believe, to that level, and hopefully when the audit comes back, it's saying that it's just infrastructure now.
Absolutely, and we've seen the likes of Mo Masanga make the matchday squad this season. Is the goal going into League One next season to hopefully see a few more academy players represented in the first team going forwards?
I mean, we've got currently, obviously, Sam Long's played with Sam, so Sam's now of an age where he's coming, but he has come through the academy, and you've got Tyler Goodrum in there, and Gatlin Adoncar and James Golding are very close to the first team squad. Yes, out on loan and different things, but and then you've got a nice bunch here, obviously with Mo there, and Leo's been injured, but in and around it recently as well. Louis Griffiths with Wales, who's been injured all season with a knee injury, and there's I could name another 4 or 5 there, which is really exciting. Now, that doesn't mean that they're ready to go play senior football, and just because we've came down a league, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden these 5, 6, 7 players go and do that. But the conversations are, of course, around about what are the next steps, what is the strategy, because it also, for me, isn't about a token gesture of putting a young player in for the sake of it. If we're putting a young player in, it's because 1, they've deserved it, 1, they've worked for it, and 2, that they're of the level and the ability, and that's our job as the academy to get them. So our job, again, for next season, as every season, is just to make sure that we are absolutely bang at it to get our young boys as close to the first team as possible and put them in the manager's eye.
Absolutely. And now if we just switch our focus to the women's side of the club, obviously you're quite heavily involved in that also. Take us back to the summer. Obviously we switched to a more hybrid model. Talk us through that change and what impact you've seen that had already.
So what we've done essentially is we took the programme from being part-time, which was a couple of nights, so probably about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours of training, and then your hour and a half game on the Sunday. What we've moved it to this year is 3 days training and the Sunday. Now the 3 days aren't then just 2 hours. We've now added analyst sessions, gym sessions, medical touch points, individual development meetings. Then on top of the training, the women's team have now got their own changing room here at the training ground. And we've put a lot of investment again from the club side. They've put a hell of a lot of investment, so kind of very, very glad of that they've invested into that side of the game, so that we're now a hybrid model where the touch points have went from probably 4 or 5 hours to the best part of maybe 14, 15 hours now a week for the women's team. So that was a big change, which meant that a lot of players who were potentially part-time players with a full-time job couldn't quite make that switch, and then we obviously wanted to look at the highest calibre of player that we wanted to bring in as well. So there was a lot of changes back in the summer, but it was all gearing towards what we're going to now.
And it wasn't quite the start to the season that we would have wanted. Obviously, we know that Sam departed and Liam came in. You were quite hands-on during that whole period of change. I know you were in the dugout for a couple of matches. What was that whole period of time like for yourself?
Yeah, look, it's football and no hard feelings. A manager moves on, it's never nice, but we've got to look out for what we believe is the best interests of the next steps of the football club. So we when we departed with Sam, obviously a difficult time and a tough time and a difficult start to the season, but with the investment going into with the women's side and the calibre of player that we believed we had, we unfortunately we had to make changes, and that shows. I think that shows where the women's team is and is going. That there is demands now on it, and it is growing, and it is becoming an integral part of what we do here at Oxford United. And then obviously the middle period was a lot of up and down, and Our key focus at that point was knowing that the FA Cup was probably going to be our biggest success this year, so it was about getting the timing of the next manager in and the interviews we had, and we sat down with some really good candidates, and obviously Liam Gilbert coming out as the key candidate to it. And you know, it's been a brilliant addition. Liam's been excellent. He's got an excellent points per game ratio since he's came in. He got us that brilliant run in the FA Cup. And over the last sort of 4 or 5 months, Liam and I have working really closely together about what next season looks like, on and off the pitch, what signings we need to get in, how we take this team to the next level. So yeah, again, lots of stuff going on in the background with it, but we're looking at a really exciting summer.
You mentioned that, yeah, since Liam's come in, our results have, well, they've been right up there in terms of the other teams in the league. Do you think that this is just now a really exciting time going into next season?
It is, and we need to get the next. You know, again, yes, everybody calls it the off season and people aren't around, but the reality is that Liam finished his the last game on Sunday, and we've spoke every day. We've met most days within that as well, so that we can actually get the next 6 weeks right. We need to make sure that the next 6-8 weeks is absolutely spot on. So there's loads of conversations internally and externally with players and agents and different things to make sure that we get this right, because yeah, as you said there, it is exciting, and if we can hit the ground running now and get into July when we come back in pre-season, and we've got a team there that we think can go and challenge for the league, then it could be a really successful season.
And just to close off, obviously this season we've seen record attendances for the women's team, especially during that FA Cup run. Going into the summer, what are those next steps so that we can hopefully build upon the success that we've had this season? From
a sort of club point of view, we need to look at maximising the fan base and getting as many bums on seats at Oxford City, and really focusing in on how do we make it even more attractive? How do we get people to come and watch the women's team and back it and cheer it on? And you know, that then allows us to grow it to the next level from a marketing and commercial side. And then once we can start to really put the women's team on the map, it gives us a better base to start from. And from there, you then look at the players and the how many players we can get in. Now we've got to get the balance of young players coming into the squad, which we've got quite an exciting group coming through at 16-17. There's a few debuts that's happened over the last few months, and again from the women's side, it's the same in the men's side, that these players coming on, that's not just a token gesture. These young girls coming into the team is because they deserve it. They've been training, they come in, Liam's got them in training on a regular basis. We've got 4 or 5 under 18 players, under 19 players coming in training with us regularly, on top of the likes of Ellie May, who'll be here next year again, that's came all the way through. And you know, it's a real identity of this football club that we want young players to break through, whether they're male or female, to our teams, because we want to continue the identity. And that's really exciting, doing that as well as bringing some top-end players in to match that. And hopefully we've built a squad there that can go and challenge at the top end of the league.
Perfect. Thank you, Stevie.
Thank you very much.